in Breaking Bad, despair, the price paid for desire. And next. So, our story starts off before Tannhauser goes to Venus. He had a very religious community, and in this community, there's this girl named Elizabeth who he won over with his beautiful singing voice. And though he was about to have like true love, something wasn't right. It wasn't enough for him. He needed something more, and he longed for something. And in our next story,
Next slide.
yes, Walter White is a very overqualified chemist. He has a PhD, but he's teaching just high school students who they don't respect him, and he's not even making enough to support his family. So he has to get a car wash, and he goes to this car wash and he does his job. His students show up and make fun of him, and so he's like, he feels like he deserves respect for all of like his hard work getting his PhD and all of his accomplishments, but he feels like he isn't getting anything, and he wants to do something with his life. It literally doesn't matter what that is. He just wants to feel powerful. And back in Tannhauser,
Is that next slide?
yes, he finds a way to Venusberg. He goes to this place with the goddess of love, and she gives him everything she wants. She basically treats him like a god. Despite having everything he wants, he still feels empty. Like, he's been fulfilling all of his physical desires and all of his lusts, but he misses being just a regular person, and he misses his community. And he says, okay, I need to go back home. And she's like, what? But I've given you everything. Why can't you stay here with me? And he was like, no, I still want to go home. So she's like, okay, fine. You can leave, but never come back. So, back in Walt's story, next slide, Walt has a great idea to start making meth. Because he, for the first time in his life, like, he's been following the rules, he's been playing it safe, but that hasn't gotten him anywhere. Even though he has a family and everything, he just doesn't feel like he's living his true life. So he starts doing what he's good at, and he starts making this meth empire. And although this makes him feel powerful, it starts to hurt people around him. He's starting to put more drugs on the street and hurt other families just so that he could feel like he's powerful. And next slide. And so the first similarity / difference is the sin of lust with Tannhauser and Venusberg versus the sin of making meth. So the two main sins here is like lust and greed. So Tannhauser, he could have had true love, but he was like, no, I want to go to Venus, and he goes this alternative route. But then even then, he goes there, tries to fulfill this desire, and that isn't enough for him. Walt, on the other hand, one of the context points before he started making meth is like his life, he feels pretty bad about it. Then he finds out he has cancer. And at this point, he was like, oh, I have cancer. If I'm going to die, I guess my actions have no repercussions. So he starts doing whatever he wants. And this illustrates how, like, though Tannhauser had everything, Walt had nothing. They both had a great desire that would draw them towards making all of these evil actions. And in the next slide, they realize, wait, I don't think I like where this is going. So they try and go back. Tannhauser comes back to his community, and Walt takes a break from the meth empire to hang out with his family. But despite trying to go back to their normal life, they can't run away from their problems. And then in the next slide.
Just a question. Is this a picture from the HBO production?
Yes.
Russell Thomas. He's great.
So Walt had cancer, and at one point it went in remission, but then it came back. This kind of mirrors his act of, like, he lived a normal life, then he starts making meth, then he was like, I want to go back to my normal life, but then he starts making meth again. It shows his, like, back and forth, and it, like, shows, like, around the time he's getting cancer, he's, like, making all of these crazy decisions with his life, and in doing so, he becomes a sort of cancer to society, making all of this meth, killing people, and ruining families. And while Walt has cancer, Tannhauser, in a like metaphorical sense, is the cancer in his story, because his community finds Venus and going to Venusberg as lustful and sin. So he betrays his community, but when he goes to Venus, he can't stay faithful to her, and he ends up like leaving her distraught. So Tannhauser is in between worlds, and this is causing pain to everyone around him. And next slide. So it just demonstrates like how much these two main sins are like taking over their life and basically ruining everyone else, hurting everyone else along the side. And next slide. And while he's so driven by his pride that eventually he was provided like an opportunity from his wife to like go back. He's like, okay, turn yourself into the cops and be like, okay, I was wrong, I'm in danger, please help me. And instead, in the clip, he decides to take another action.
Jesus, what was I thinking? Walt, please, let's both of us stop trying to justify this whole thing and admit you're in danger.
Who are you talking to right now? Who is it you think you see? Do you know how much I make a year? I mean, even if I told you, you wouldn't believe it. Do you know what would happen if I suddenly decided to stop going into work? A business big enough that it could be listed on the NASDAQ goes belly up. Disappears. It ceases to exist without me. No, you clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot. You think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
So rather than taking a step back and realizing what he's done is wrong, he was like, no, I'm the man. I will,
Sorry.
he's basically,
I'm just trying to get back in full screen, I'm sorry.
okay. So he refuses to acknowledge like his, what's happening in this situation, and he doubles down on his pride and is like, no, I have everything under control. In the next slide, and eventually that leads to more of a mess, because later he was like, okay, finally I will retire, but in doing so he accidentally exposes his meth business to his brother Hank, who is a cop, and he finds out, he intervenes and ends up getting shot because of it. In Tannhauser's case, when he comes back, instead of just going to his community and like living the rest of his life there, he sings to his whole community again, and this time he sings to Elizabeth to win her over again, and then he starts singing about Venus. So he goes back and forth, and this almost causes the community to kill him because they don't like Venus. And Elizabeth ends up like dying after, because like Tannhauser tries to get redemption, but he couldn't, and this leads to Elizabeth's death. And so the protagonists have become, at this point, become villains of their own story, but instead of them taking like the hurt from it, it starts to affect their loved ones and people die for them. Next slide. This is the moment where Walt kind of has his own aria, and Wolfram, it's similar to Wolfram's aria when he sings about Elizabeth's death. Walt is now like realizing how, like, what he's done when he sees Hank die.
There's another clip.
Yes.
And this is not like part of the original, like somebody edited this
So at this point, both characters realize they've gone too far, and they finally want to make amends. But they've been offered, in the next slide, they've been offered so many chances of redemption, and they could never commit to fully making amends. And they kept going back and forth between going on the right track and following their desire. And in the end, they finally try and run away from their desires and make one last attempt to save their lives. But at this point, it's too late for them. All of the harm has been done, and they both end up dying miserable and alone as the villain of their own story.
Thank you. All right.